Hey, I really want you to listen up and hear me. You are at a point in your life where alcohol just doesn't make sense anymore for the woman you are, the woman you're becoming, and what your life is all about. And I know that there is a part of you that keeps giving in. And because you've failed so many times, and this is no judgment, you've woke up Monday morning, I'm never drinking again, or I'm going to control my drinking this week and only drink on the weekends. You've actually gotten used to disappointment. And so it's hard to find the inspiration that truly matters. But what I want you to know is that you would not be listening to this podcast right now, reading my emails and looking for resources if you had fully resigned yourself to a life where nothing changes with alcohol. You are here because some part of you knows and believes that there is something waiting for you on the other side of alcohol, something bigger. And it is the promise to your inner child. It's that little girl inside of you who still dreams big, who deserves the best, who doesn't want to be in pain anymore. The promise to your children and future generations who get to benefit from the woman that you're becoming and the example of what's possible. Because only you truly know what is best for you and your family, and you know that as long as alcohol is taking up space, you are not giving at your highest. I have created something very special for you for 2026. It is 90 days to alcohol-free freedom, and anyone who books a clarity call with me before 2026 gets an additional very, very special bonus that will never happen again. This is for the woman who is tired of negotiating with her potential. You are tired of waiting. You are tired of one day, maybe, when it's the perfect time. You don't need the full belief today. You just need the whisper. You just need to know that you are not done yet and you are sick of waiting. You don't come because you have the inspiration. You get the inspiration when you're inside of the container, because the fact that you are here means that you still believe in the possibility of alcohol-free freedom and a bigger life that is waiting for you. Book your clarity call today. Everything you need is right here in the description. I cannot wait to connect with you in real life. I'll talk to you soon. Wild Sobriety is for the woman who has outgrown alcohol and was never meant to follow the script. I'm Mary Wagstaff, a holistic alcohol coach, and after 20 years of daily drinking, I finally made alcohol irrelevant in my life. And now I help women just like you do the same through my proven 5 shifts process. Welcome to Wild Sobriety, feminine freedom beyond alcohol. Here we are again, my beautiful warriors of love. Welcome back to Wild Sobriety. So we are pumping out the inspiration because it is time. It is time for transformation. It's time to get a little bit of fire under your butt and not go crazy and not take this like strong-armed, white-knuckled, gritting your teeth action. But how do I want to show up for the rest of this year? How do I want to think about and celebrate what I have done and not just resign myself, like we talked about failure tolerance on the last episode, not just resign myself to I guess I'm just going to live like this. No, that's not why we're here. That's not why you're here. So we have all, if you're here, chances are everything's worked out in your favor. This is just proof. If you're here, you're alive, you're listening, everything has worked out in your favor, because what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is death. And so because of that, you have had to go through a certain level of resilience. You have become resilient. Now, maybe you've kind of whitewashed some of your more challenging times with alcohol. And that's the place where I think that there's a lot of fear. It's like, oh my gosh, if I have to feel my emotions, but you're feeling them anyway. You are feeling them and you have to remind yourself of that. And so what, you're here to do is to practice and hold that perspective for long enough. But you have had success in so many areas of your life, but alcohol is still the one place where things just feel like you just can't figure it out. It's like no matter how much you have the intention, it just doesn't seem, you're like, I can't wrap my head around it. And that is because of many factors. It is a different transformation than other things. You are dealing with an addictive substance, first of all, something outside of yourself. You are dealing with something that has a lot of negative connotation around alcohol, being an alcoholic, what it means to become a sober person. If I don't drink, like when would sobriety, let me just ask you this. This is something I talked about with a woman who I'm doing a podcast interview with. When would sobriety not be a good choice? Like, when did we ever get into our heads that, like, oh my gosh, if I'm sober, what are they going to think? Like that, and that's the perspective that you have to, of course, it's like, yeah, I'm drinking more water. Of course, that's a good thing. I'm like, when is that ever not the empowered choice? There's waiting more for you on the other side. And this is transformation. This is where today I am breaking down the full journey from the surface level effort, which is you being here. This is kind of like the performative effort that you get these little like dopamine rushes from. You get these little dopamine hits really for any self-development concept. It's like you read a new book, you listen to an inspired podcast, you're like, ooh, yes, I got that. To true embodied transformation. There is a process here, and this is really the process of coaching. This is really what solidifies a new belief being part of your identity. That, like I was just saying, where once maybe sobriety is like, oh my gosh, what are they going to think, to being like, of course I would choose sobriety. That is absolutely the empowered choice, and I'll tell every single person about it. I'm not embarrassed about it at all. I can't wait to tell people about it and blow their freaking minds for how casually and empowered I talk about it, and like see people's jaw drop, and then they have nothing to say back to me especially when I talk to healthcare people. It's amazing. I love it. So phase one of this journey is performance. This is passive action. And this is where many people start. This is totally normal. This is why there's like self-help books are just, flying off the shelves. This is why there's so many podcasts. This is what the social media is all about, is a new perspective, inspiration. This is also where many people get stuck. It's like, you kind of start to develop this self-concept around this type of person who understands the concepts but never actually applies them. So you get them intellectually and you feel that dopamine rush. You listen to a podcast, you're like, yeah, I got this, let's do this. And the concept clicks. And this is amazing because you want to understand it. You have to understand it to be able to use it. Or there's a perspective shift, but it doesn't stick. You are performing the change. You're not living it. Like, it's happening in your head. And maybe you share it with someone. Maybe you go home that night and you feel a little less calm, and you think, okay, I'm going to look for, how someone's doing it right, and how instead of being in my black and white thinking, I'm going to look for, instead of they never do this, I'm going to look for the way that they always do this, right? Or I'm going to, Michael Singer talks about the low hanging fruit. When someone cuts me off or someone's grouchy at the grocery store, I'm going to laugh about it and think, gosh, they must be having a bad day, right? So maybe there's like these little nuggets of it. But this is the first place we have to be here to get a new perspective. And it's very familiar to you. It's very familiar to me. And this is kind of where we start on any journey that we want to change. You might even do this in a fitness journey where you kind of start looking at fitness people online, or you even watch. I've done this where I've watched a fitness YouTube video. And so there's this surface level understanding, but without real behavioral integration. So you have to recognize that this phase is normal and it's a good inspired phase that you're in, but know that the insight alone is not going to equal transformation. So this is phase one. This is performance. This is where we understand a new concept, and it helps us feel good, but then we don't actually see the change. And because it's that temporary dopamine hit, it's like short-term satisfaction. It's just like having a drink. It quickly fades away because there's no real risk involved, right? It's a low stakes game. In fact, if anything, you're not really risking anything. You're giving up some of your time for the information. Phase two is the resiliency. And in the last episode, I talked about failure tolerance. So this is where you do keep trying, or at least you have an intention, and you kind of make these rules in your brain, especially when it comes to alcohol. This can happen in many areas too. It happens to people all the time with fitness and diet and exercise, or I'm not going to yell at my kids, or I'm not going to over explain to my husband, and, not going to point out, I'm not going to complain. So we have these intentions. So we try, then we slip up and we pick ourselves up again, but then we kind of give up, and we failed so many times that we become numb to the disappointment. And the trying again over and over and over again is proof that we still believe something bigger is possible for us. And we know that if we could attain that level of integration, that we believe that our lives would be better. We would be more peaceful. We would be happier. We would be overhearing our own annoying, complaints and excuses. And just like, you hear your own BS over and over and over again. But it doesn't stick, right? So you get this callous. It becomes just, you get used to, just like alcohol, the impact of failing in your life. And it doesn't upset you as much as it used to. So you just keep showing up, trying, but there's not this real inspiration to figure it out. It's just become kind of almost like another habit, this failure intolerance. And then we move on to phase 3. But what I want you to know is resilience is your superpower. So you want to know that every attempt is evidence that you haven't given up, even though you haven't figured it out and it's kind of making you numb, but you're still there. And this is the bridge that's going to remind you that, no, I still want this. Because if you didn't have that failure intolerance, like if you just stayed in the performance part and you never actually really tried, then you might just be like, yeah, that's a nice idea, but it's not even really worth it, or I can never do it. But the fact that you keep trying, even if you feel a little numb to it, even if you haven't really found some inspiration to push you into the next phase, it is a sign that you do believe that it is possible. And with the passive action, you keep generating some evidence of, at least, like, I know other people have done it. So I know that if other people have done it, well, these are normal people, then I can do it too. And that's really what I want to express to you here, is that if I can do it, right? I'm not a unicorn. I was drinking just as much as you were and had all of the same thoughts that you did. And same with all of my clients. So phase 3, and this is the money. Transformation. Transformation is intentional integration. This is where you take what you've learned, you embody it, and you make real choice that changes your life. So this goes beyond the insight or the resilience. And, this is where we change resiliency, because it's like, yeah, we can all live through something. If we are here, you've created some sense of resilience. You've made it through. But taking that resilience and really understanding it and unpacking it and being like, okay, well, how am I going to apply what I learned there? Not just like, oh my gosh, I made it through, but I'm going to apply what I learned and not be just a victim, but become the hero of the journey to my life. This is when real transformation happens. Is like, I can make it through the, grieving the loss of a relationship, the loss of a loved one, and have that resiliency. But what is the transformation? Was I able to connect with this higher version of myself through that? And how can I use what I've learned so that the next thing that I go through is actually feels easier, maybe it's not, maybe I just make it through it in less time, that I get to decide that it's only going to take as long as I allow it to take. When I've been going through a journey in my relationship, I listened to a coach that I frequently listen to, and she was saying that she had a therapist that told her once, you can decide that the breakup is going to take as long as you were with that person for, or you can just decide that I'm going to get over it today. And what would that person do? If you were a person who was over a breakup, what would you do? And just start living like that person. And this is true. We can do this. And then that's when you become a new version of yourself. So transformation is possible because your resiliency proves that you're here. You've shown up enough to know what it feels like, but now what you need to do is you need to take that and understand, okay, what did that require of me? What is the perspective that I can see now on the other side of it? Maybe you thought you couldn't become a single parent. Maybe you thought that you didn't have what it takes to move and to move yourself into a new town. Maybe you had to force yourself at one point to be sober at an event because it wasn't the event to drink at and you wanted to show up with your best foot forward. It was a networking event or you had to speak or present. So you know that you can make it through that. And this is where transformation happens, where you actually evaluate it. So we have this moment of passive action, and then we see it happen in real life, so we're applying it. But when transformation happens, you're actually repeating the process. You're actually holding the new perspective for long enough and reinforcing it week after week after week until it becomes your new self-concept, until it becomes an ingrained part of your belief that you don't even have to think about. It is just who you are. And this is what we do in coaching. We uncover, right, the new perspective that you're like, yeah, I do believe that. That fires me up. And then you go and apply it, but we evaluate it, and then we consistently reinforce it with you continuing to show up. Because think about what happens in like a week's time. You're on to something new. You forgot about it. You were like, oh yeah, I used to do that, but I don't even do that anymore. But yeah, oh man, that made me feel so good when I used to get up and listen to this person every single morning or listen to this meditation. This is the power of transformation, because our brain does slip. Those grooves in your brain are deep and they are old. And this is what you need. So we want to take you from that performative passive action to transformation. And this is the process of doing it. You have to evaluate. You have to uncover, plan, implement, evaluate, and then you have to celebrate. And the celebration piece is the part of the transformation that makes the biggest impact, because you recognize what you were able to do. I celebrated myself so much over these last few months for showing up, for asking for help, for getting coaching, for finding resources, for not taking things personally, for holding compassionate space, for in a way where I could have just become a victim, for allowing my emotions to be present, for being able to see that I am capable of being on the other side of a story, this vision of my life that I had created for myself, this expectation I had, but really knowing, wow, life is giving me exactly what I need to grow. And we don't come closer to the divine when we are happy-go-lucky. We come closer to our spiritual connection, to God, to the Creator, to our higher selves when we are down and out. And this is really what transformation takes. It helps you step into that place where you can see the truth of who you are, what this life is really about, and that you are not here to be a victim and you are not here to sit on the sidelines, that you are here to show up fully embodied so that you can experience the pleasure that this life has to offer through human emotion, through being a witness to your own transformation. If you are ready to move from this surface level insight to resiliency effort and then to real transformation, the 90 Days to Alcohol-Free Freedom program is designed to help you do just that. And this is for you. You are done. You are done saying tomorrow. You are done waiting for the right time. You are reclaiming your mental health. You are getting curious about emotionally who you are and wanting to meet your emotional needs and not waiting for someone else to come and save you. Meeting your own emotional needs so that you can be the woman who inspires action in the people around you. You are fully showing up for yourself and your family. When you book a clarity call today, before 2026, you receive an exceptional bonus that is going to be there for you through the entire year. And this is an offer that I've never made before. jump on a clarity call. We want to make sure this is absolutely the best fit for you, that this is the right decision for your next best empowered choice. And you will know that it is. And we get to meet together in person and just see our energies together. It is such a powerful transformation, and I can't wait to meet you on the other side. You'll get all of your questions answered, so I'll see you there. Everything you need to know is in the description of this episode. As a thank you for being such an important part of this podcast, I want to gift you my brand new free mini course, The Permission Protocol. It is a 5-part journey to help you rethink everything you believe about the pleasure that is possible in sobriety and the radical freedom that is required to get to the other side. And it's available for you right now inside of my free Wild Sobriety community, where we can hang out, support one another, and grow by honoring our authentic expression as women. Everything you need is right here in the description. I will see you inside of the community.